I stood frozen in the hotel lobby. My heart was hammering in my chest. I was watching my own children laugh cruelly as they walked away toward the elevator without a single glance back. Tamika, my daughter-in-law, had said something about finally being free of the burden, and they had all laughed. They didn't know I had heard every word. They didn't know that I had paid for every single cent of that reservation with the money I had saved for 8 months by selling my pies on Sundays in the town square. Stashing coin after coin in a cookie tin I hid behind the canned beans. They also didn't know what I was about to do. But let's go back to the beginning because it all started 3 weeks earlier on a Tuesday afternoon when the sun was warm through my kitchen window. I was preparing my afternoon coffee just like every day since I became a widow 4 years ago when my phone rang. It was my eldest son, Darius, with that sweet voice he used when he needed something. "Mom, I have a wonderful idea," he said. And I felt that familiar flutter in my chest that always came when my children included me in their plans. "What do you think about us taking a family trip for the holidays all together? Like in the good old days?" His voice sounded so excited that I could almost see his smile through the phone. "I found a beautiful hotel on the coast, pools, restaurants, activities for the kids. It would be perfect, Mom." I set the coffee pot on the counter, feeling my eyes fill with tears of joy. It had been so long since I felt included, since I had been invited to anything more than a family dinner, where I sat quietly while they talked about their jobs, their trips, and their plans. I was always the one who served, who cleared the dishes, who stayed in the kitchen while everyone else went into the living room. "That sounds wonderful, son," I replied, trying to keep my voice from cracking. "When would it be?" "The first week of January. 7 days, Mom. Imagine all of us, me, Tamika, Malik, and Latoya, the grandkids, and you, of course, like one big happy family." He paused and then added, "There's just one small detail, Mom. The hotel requires a single person to make the reservation. Could you take care of it? We'll transfer you the money afterward." Of course, it was always like this. I was the one who put my name on the line, who made the guarantee, who handled the paperwork while they had all the fun. But this time I didn't mind. It was a chance to do something special for my family, to show them how much I loved them. "Of course, son, you can count on me." That same afternoon I called the hotel. The receptionist had a kind, professional voice. "Golden Palms Hotel. How can I help you?" "I'd like to make a reservation for 12 people," I said, feeling my heart race. I had never organized anything so big before. "Perfect, Mom. For what dates?" "From January 2nd to the 9th. I heard the clicking of her keyboard. "All right. That would be 5 family suites, all-inclusive, with access to all activities. The total would be $4,200. I stopped breathing. My pension was $800 a month. I had saved $800 selling pies for 8 months. I didn't have enough. "Ma'am, are you there?" Yes. "I'm sorry. Can I confirm the reservation and pay later?" "We need a 50% deposit to confirm, ma'am." I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in my rocking chair, calculating and recalculating. I had $50 in cash, some savings I had set aside for emergencies, and my wedding ring, the ring my husband had given me 42 years ago with a small diamond that sparkled when the light hit it. The next day, I went to the downtown jewelry store. Mr. Carter, the owner, was an older man who knew my whole family. "Loretta, how are you?" "I'm doing well, Mr. Carter. I came to ask what you'd give me for this ring." He examined it with his loupe, turning it between his wrinkled fingers. "It's a nice piece, Loretta. I can give you $800. I felt as if I had been punched in the stomach. $800 for 42 years of marriage. But I thought about Darius's smile, about the chance to have my whole family together and happy. "It's a deal." With the money from the ring and my savings, I called the hotel that same afternoon and paid the deposit. The reservation was confirmed in my name with my credit card as a guarantee. 5 family suites, 12 people, 7 days, all-inclusive. Over the next few weeks, every time I spoke with Darius or Malik, they asked me about the trip details but never mentioned the money. "We'll talk about that later," they would say. "The important thing is that we're all together." I continued to sell pies on Sundays, doing sewing jobs for my neighbors, saving every dollar I could to cover the final payment. My house became colder because I turned down the heat. I ate less meat, and I walked instead of taking the bus, all for that perfect family trip. 3 days before the trip, Darius called me excitedly. "Mom, you don't know how much we're looking forward to these days. The kids are super excited. Tamika already has everything packed. How are the hotel preparations?" "Everything's ready, son. Just the final payment left." "Oh yeah, of course. Well, we'll figure that out when we get there. The important thing is we have fun." The night before the trip, I finished paying for the reservation in full with my credit card. $2,100, my wedding ring, all my savings, plus the debt left on my card, but it was worth it. I was going to have 7 perfect days with my family. I had no idea what I was about to discover. The morning of the trip, I woke up before sunrise. I had packed my suitcase the night before, carefully folding each item, choosing my best dresses, the pearl necklace that was my mother's, and my comfortable walking shoes for the beach. I felt like a child before Christmas. It had been so long since I had something to look forward to with so much excitement. Darius was supposed to pick me up at 7 a.m. We had planned to travel all together in 2 cars to the hotel, which was a 3-hour drive away. I put on my light blue dress, the one Malik always said made me look younger, and carefully put on some makeup. I wanted to look good for the family photos we would surely take. At 7:30, Darius honked from the street. I grabbed my suitcase, locked the door, and walked to the car with a smile I couldn't wipe off my face. In the passenger seat, Tamika, my daughter-in-law, was looking at her phone. In the back, my 2 youngest grandkids were playing on a tablet. "Good morning, family," I said as I got into the car, but only the kids replied with a "Hi, Grandma." Distracted, Tamika barely looked up for a second and mumbled something that sounded like a greeting. Darius started the engine. "Are you ready for a perfect family vacation?" I asked, trying to start a cheerful conversation. "Yes, Mom," Darius replied, but his voice sounded tired. "Tamika, did you text Latoya so they can follow us?" "They've already left. Malik drives like a turtle, so we'll probably get there before them," Tamika answered without looking up from her phone. During the drive, I tried to talk several times. I asked them about Darius's work, about their plans for the hotel, about whether the kids knew how to swim. The answers were monosyllabic, sighs, and half-smiles that quickly faded. Tamika kept texting, and every now and then she laughed at something she read on her screen. "Is it very funny?" I asked once, trying to be part of whatever was keeping her so entertained. "It's my friend's group chat," she answered without looking at me. "Things you wouldn't understand." I was quiet after that, staring out the window at the passing fields, the small houses, the trees that were just beginning to change color. I thought about all the pies I had sold to pay for this trip, about the nights I had stayed up sewing to earn a few extra dollars, about my wedding ring, which was now in a jewelry store safe. When we arrived at the hotel, my breath caught in my throat. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined from the photos online. Tall palm trees swayed in the ocean breeze. The gardens were perfectly manicured with flowers of every color. The white facade of the building gleamed under the midday sun. The entrance had water fountains that made a relaxing sound, and I could hear the ocean in the distance. "What a beautiful place," I exclaimed, feeling my chest swell with happiness. "I can't believe we're here." The kids jumped out of the car, excited, and ran toward the entrance. Darius and Tamika began to take the suitcases out of the trunk. At that moment, the second car arrived with Malik, Latoya, and the rest of the family. My 17-year-old granddaughter, Aaliyah, was the only one who came to hug me. "Grandma, this place is incredible," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. "Did you see the pool? It's huge, and they say they have nightly activities and themed restaurants." "I know, honey. It's going to be a wonderful week," I replied, stroking her hair. At least someone shared my enthusiasm. We all went into the lobby, and I headed to the reception desk. It was a spacious and elegant area with marble floors that reflected the light from the crystal lamps, white leather sofas, and tropical plants in huge pots. The air smelled of fresh flowers and ocean breeze. "Good morning," I said to the receptionist, a young woman with a kind smile. I have a reservation under the name Loretta Williams. She typed on her computer and smiled. Of course, Mrs. Williams. We were expecting you. 5 family suites, 7 nights, all inclusive for 12 people. Everything is in order. While she was preparing the keys and explaining the hotel services, I heard my sons talking quietly behind me. 5 suites, I heard Malik whisper to Darius. I thought you said it would be simpler. Mom organized everything, Darius replied. We'll figure out how to split the costs later. The receptionist handed me the keys on elegant keychains shaped like a palm tree. The suites are on the 3rd floor, all with an ocean view. Breakfast is served from 6 to 10 a.m. In the main restaurant, lunch from 12 to 3 p.m. and dinner from 6 to 10 p.m. You also have full access to the spa, the pools, sports activities, and nightly entertainment. How wonderful! I exclaimed, feeling my heart beat with excitement. Did you hear that, kids? We have access to everything. But when I turned around to share my joy with the family, I froze. There was no one there. Darius, Malik, Tamika, Latoya, and all the grandkids had disappeared. Only Aaliyah was left, looking at me with a strange expression on her face. Where did everyone go? I asked, feeling my stomach drop. They went to the elevators, she replied, biting her lower lip. Dad said they were going to get settled in the rooms and that we would meet up later. Without waiting for me, without the keys. Aaliyah didn't answer, but I could see in her eyes that she wasn't telling me something. We walked to the elevator area. But there was no sign of the family. We went up to the 3rd floor and walked down the hallway, looking for them, but it was as if they had vanished. Aaliyah, what is going on here? I asked, my voice trembling. She sighed and took out her phone. Grandma, there's something you need to know. They're in the family group chat. And she stopped as if it was hard for her to continue. What group chat? The one Dad, Uncle Darius, Mom, and Aunt Tamika made. It's called Drama-Free Vacation. Her voice became softer. Grandma, they didn't want you to come on the trip. I felt as if the marble floor was shifting under my feet. What do you mean they didn't want me to come? But Darius invited me. He asked me to organize everything. Aaliyah showed me her phone with trembling hands. On the screen I could see the group chat. The most recent messages said things that broke my heart into pieces. We've arrived. The old lady took care of everything as usual. Perfect. Now we can enjoy ourselves without her watching us all the time. Did you see how excited she was at reception? How embarrassing. Well, at least she's useful for something. Let her stay in her room watching TV while we take advantage of everything. The words blurred in front of my eyes. I felt tears welling up, my throat closing. $2,100, my wedding ring, 8 months of work. Also they could enjoy themselves drama-free without me. Grandma. Aaliyah's voice sounded far away. Grandma, are you okay? No, I wasn't okay, but I wasn't defeated either. I stood there in the hotel hallway with the 5 keys hanging from my trembling fingers while Aaliyah looked at me with tear-filled eyes. The messages from the group chat kept coming on her phone, each one like a dagger to my heart. I hope she doesn't get all pushy about family dinners. Don't worry, Tamika. If she gets too annoying, we'll just tell her she looks tired and that she should go rest. The important thing is that the kids have fun. She can do her own thing. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. The hallway smelled of cleanliness and fresh flowers, but all I could taste was the bitter flavor of humiliation in my mouth. For 40 years I had raised those children. I had sacrificed my dreams for theirs. I had sold my wedding ring to give them this perfect vacation, and this was how they repaid me. Aaliyah, I said with a voice I didn't recognize. How long has that group chat existed? She looked at her phone, scrolling up to see older messages. Since Uncle Darius suggested the trip, Grandma. Look here. Says he created it the same day he called you. My granddaughter showed me the screen. There it was, clear as day. Group created on December 12th by Darius Carter. The same day my son had called me with his sweet voice to invite me on the family trip of my dreams. I continued to read the older messages, each one worse than the last. I already talked to Mom. She fell for the whole story. She's sure she'll be able to organize it. You know how she is with technology. It doesn't matter. If she messes up, we'll fix it. The important thing is she pays. Great. A free vacation with no family drama. Just so we're clear. No all-together activities. Everyone for themselves. The words became blurry from the tears I could no longer hold back. But there was something else, more recent messages that made me understand the magnitude of their betrayal. Did you confirm that the hotel allows changes to the reservation? Yeah. Malik asked at reception. Since it's under Mom's name, she can make changes. Perfect. Tomorrow we'll convince her to transfer the rooms to our names just in case. And on the last day we'll tell her there was a billing error, and that the hotel needs someone else to take care of the payment. There it was. Not only had they planned to ignore me during the trip, but they also intended to leave me with the entire debt at the end. They had used me to organize and pay for their perfect vacation, and then they planned to abandon me with the bill. Grandma. Aaliyah gently touched my arm. What are you going to do? That question echoed in my mind. What was I going to do? The old Stella would have cried in silence, swallowed the humiliation, and pretended she hadn't seen anything. She would have spent the 7 days locked in her room, ordering room service so as not to bother the family in the restaurants, watching TV while they enjoyed the pool, the spa, and the nightly activities that I had paid for. But something had changed inside me. Maybe it was seeing my wedding ring disappear into the jeweler's hands, or maybe it was those 8 months of waking up before sunrise to make pies and sell them in the town square. Maybe it was the realization that my own children saw me as a walking wallet, useful for paying and organizing, but a nuisance to include. I don't know yet, honey, I replied to Aaliyah, wiping my tears with the back of my hand, but I'm not going to stand here and cry. We walked to my suite. It was beautiful, with a king-size bed covered in pristine white sheets, a balcony with a direct ocean view, and a marble bathroom with a deep tub. Everything I had dreamed of for months while saving every cent, but now it felt empty, like a stage set for a play where I was just the financier, not the star. I sat on the bed, and Aaliyah stood by the window looking out at the beach where I could already see some family members. Darius and Malik were in the pool with their kids. Tamika and Latoya were having cocktails under an umbrella. They were all laughing and enjoying themselves as if nothing had happened. You know what hurts the most? I said to Aaliyah. It's not the money or even the fact that they lied to me. It's that I thought we were finally going to be a real family, that we were going to make beautiful memories together. Aaliyah turned around, and I saw that her eyes were red. Grandma, I tried to tell them it was wrong. When Dad added me to the group, I told them it wasn't fair to you, but they said I didn't understand that sometimes adults have to make difficult decisions. Difficult decisions. That's what I was to them. A difficult decision. At that moment my phone rang. It was a message from Darius. Mom, we've settled in. We're going to have lunch at the beach restaurant. If you want, you can order room service. See you at dinner. Liars. I knew perfectly well they had planned to have lunch without me. But this time, instead of feeling hurt, I smiled. Tell your dad thank you very much, but I have other plans. And I wasn't lying. I did have other plans that were taking shape in my mind with a clarity that surprised me. That afternoon, while my family enjoyed the beach with the money I had paid, I was busy making some very important calls. First stop, my bank. Second stop, the hotel reception. Third stop, my lawyer, because if my children thought they were going to play games with me, they were very wrong. The game had just begun, and this time I had all the cards. That afternoon, while my family had fun on the beach, believing they had found the perfect formula for a free vacation, I was in my room executing my own plan. I had learned over 65 years that patience is the most powerful weapon a woman can have, especially when she is underestimated. My first call was to the bank. After navigating a maze of automated options and waiting for 20 minutes, I finally managed to speak with a human representative. National Bank, this is Carmen speaking. How can I help you? Good morning, Carmen. My name is Loretta Williams. I need to report a possible fraud attempt on my credit card. Of course, Mrs. Williams. Can you provide me with your card number and date of birth to verify your identity? After confirming my information, I explained the situation, choosing every word carefully. Carmen, I have reason to believe that a family member is going to try to dispute legitimate charges that I made on my card, specifically a hotel reservation for $4,200 that I personally authorized and paid for. I understand your concern, Mrs. Williams. Do you have any evidence of this potential fraudulent dispute? Yes, I have all the reservation documents, payment confirmations, and witnesses who can corroborate that I authorized all the expenses. Furthermore, my granddaughter overheard my son on the phone today talking about disputing these charges. Carmen made a note of everything and explained the procedure. I'm going to place a protection note on your account, Mrs. Williams. If anyone tries to dispute these charges, an automatic investigation will be triggered, which will require substantial evidence of actual fraud. And in the meantime, the charges will remain valid until proven otherwise. I'm also going to email you a form to document everything related to this potential family fraud attempt. After hanging up with the bank, I felt as though I had won the first battle of a war that had just begun, but I needed more ammunition. My second call was to the hotel reception. Good afternoon. Could I please speak with the manager? 5 minutes later, a man with a kind voice introduced himself. Mrs. Williams, I'm Mr. Anderson, the hotel manager. The receptionist tells me you wanted to speak with me. Yes, Mr. Anderson. I have a delicate family situation, and I need to make sure certain information is officially registered. I explained that I had paid for the full reservation as a surprise for my family, but had discovered they planned to dispute the charges fraudulently. I understand perfectly, Mrs. Williams. Unfortunately, this is not the first time we've seen these family situations. What would you like us to do? First, I need you to confirm in writing that I am the only holder of the reservation, and that I paid for everything voluntarily. Second, if anyone in my family tries to make changes without my presence, I want you to contact me immediately. Of course, ma'am. I will send an official letter confirming all the details of your reservation and payment. I am also going to instruct all the reception staff about the situation. One more thing, Mr. Anderson. Would it be possible to schedule a meeting for tomorrow morning? I think I might need to make some changes to the reservation. Of course. Is 9 a.m. a good time for you? Perfect. My third call was the most important. I found the number for Mr. Carter, the lawyer who had helped my husband with his will, and had handled some minor family matters over the years. Jenkins and Associates. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Is Mr. Carter in? This is Loretta Williams. Mrs. Williams, it's a pleasure to hear from you. Mr. Carter is with a client, but I can interrupt him if it's urgent. It's urgent. 3 minutes later, the familiar voice of Mr. Carter filled the phone. Loretta, how are you? Is everything okay? No, Mr. Carter, nothing is okay. I need urgent legal advice. I told him the whole story. The trip, the group chat messages, the plan to dispute the charges, everything. Mr. Carter listened without interrupting, making occasional sounds of disapproval. Loretta, this is very serious. What your children are planning constitutes financial fraud and elder abuse. Abuse? Absolutely. Using trickery to get money from a senior is a federal crime. On top of that, fighting legitimate charges is bank fraud. What are my options here? Few things. First off, it's good you already got in touch with the bank. Secondly, I'm going to email you a document that I need you to sign and get notarized. It's a sworn statement that you willingly paid for all the trip expenses. Is there a notary at the hotel? Most big hotels have notary services for their guests. Ask the manager. What else can I do? Loretta, I need to ask you something important. Do you want to pursue legal action against your kids? The question felt like a punch in the gut. Legal action against Darius and Malik, the kids I raised, the ones I took care of when they were sick, the ones I sacrificed so much for. I don't know, Mr. Carter. I just want them to stop. I understand, but I want you to know you have choices. You can sue them for fraud. You can change your will. You can take steps to protect what you own. Think it over. After I hung up with Mr. Carter, I just sat there in silence for what felt like forever. The sun was starting to go down, making my room all golden. I could hear my family coming back from the beach, all happy and loud talking about dinner plans. Around 6:30, someone knocked on my door. It was Darius. "Hey Mom, how was your afternoon?" "Real productive, son." "Productive? What did you do?" "Important calls, paperwork, grown-up stuff." I saw his smile get a little forced. "Mom, speaking of paperwork, Malik and I were thinking it might be easier if we took care of some of the hotel stuff. So you don't have to worry about a thing." There it was, the opening move of their plan. "What kind of stuff?" "Well, the keys to the other rooms, for example, just in case there's some kind of emergency and we need to get in." "What kind of emergency would make you need to get into rooms that aren't yours?" Darius seemed caught off guard by the question. "I don't know, Mom. We just thought it would be more practical." "Darius," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "I'm 65, not 95. I can handle the room keys just fine." "Of course, Mom. I didn't mean you couldn't. I just thought that." "What did you think exactly?" I watched him get all fidgety, trying to find the right words to twist things without making it too obvious. "Nothing, Mom. Forget about it." "You coming to dinner?" "Of course. My money's paying for that dinner, isn't it?" The question surprised him. "Your money? Whose money else would it be, Darius?" "No, of course you're right. We'll split everything at the end of the trip like we talked about." "When did we talk about that, exactly? Did we ever even agree that this would be a shared expense?" "Mom, I don't understand why you're asking all these questions." I got up and walked to the door. "Let's go eat, son. I'm hungry." As we walked to the elevator, I could tell he was thrown off. His plan depended on me being predictable, easy to manage, acting the way I always had, but I wasn't the same woman who had checked into this hotel 2 days ago. At dinner, I looked at my family with a fresh perspective. I saw how much they were enjoying the food I was paying for, the expensive drinks they ordered without even thinking about it, all the desserts they grabbed on a whim. I saw how they were talking about their plans for the next day like I wasn't even there, like I was just an extra. But I also saw something else. I saw Aaliyah looking at me worried, realizing something had changed in me. I saw my younger grandkids genuinely having a good time on the trip, clueless about the adults' betrayal, and I understood something important. Not everyone at that table was against me. That night, after everyone had gone to their rooms, Aaliyah came to see me like we had planned. "Grandma, what's going on?" "Dad was acting really weird at dinner." "He was acting weird because his little scheme isn't going the way he thought it would." I told her about the calls I had made that day, the steps I had taken to protect myself, the meeting I had scheduled with the hotel manager for the next morning. "Are you going to call off the trip?" she asked, eyes wide. "No, eso es tie. I'm going to do something way better." "What?" I smiled, a slow, deliberate smile that showed all the sleepless nights and all the sacrifices they had forgotten. And for the first time in days, it was a real smile, not just for show. "I'm going to give them exactly what they have coming." By 5 a.m. I was already wide awake. Not because I set an alarm, but because my body was used to waking up early from all those months of baking pies. But this time, instead of feeling worn out and obligated, I felt this weird surge of energy I hadn't felt in ages. Today was the day everything would change. I took a calm shower, put on my best outfit, the navy blue suit I had bought for my husband's funeral, but never had a chance to wear for something important, and went down to the restaurant. It was 6:30, and the place was practically empty. Perfect. I needed some peace and quiet to go over my notes one last time. As I was drinking my coffee and looking at the documents Mr. Carter had emailed me early that morning, I saw Mr. Anderson, the hotel manager, walk in. He was a man in his 40s, classy with that genuine warmth that you see in people who really know what customer service is all about. "Mrs. Brown, good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Very well, thank you. Could we move our meeting up? There are a few things I would like to talk about before my family gets up." "Of course. Would you rather do this in my office?" "Yes, that would be perfect." His office was classy but welcoming, with a view of the hotel gardens. There were diplomas on the walls, pictures from special events, and a coffee pot, which he immediately offered me a cup from. Mrs. Brown, my legal team and I reviewed your case last night. We need to be absolutely sure we understand the situation. Your legal team? Yes. Cases like yours, while unfortunately not uncommon, require us to follow specific steps to protect both our guests and the hotel. Mr. Anderson opened a folder on his desk. Let me confirm. You paid for the entire reservation of $4,200 with your own credit card, willingly, as a surprise for your family. Is that right? Absolutely right. And you have proof that some members of your family are planning to dispute these charges fraudulently? Yes. My granddaughter overheard my son coordinating with the bank. I understand. I have 2 documents here that I would like you to look at. The first document was an official statement from the hotel, confirming all the details of my reservation and payment. The second was more interesting, an addendum to the contract that gave me complete control over everything related to the stay. What exactly does this mean? I asked, pointing to the second document. It means that you, as the person who paid and the one who made the reservation, have total control. You get to decide who stays and who goes. You can change services and you can even cancel specific rooms if you want. I felt my heart start to beat faster. I can cancel specific rooms. Absolutely. You have 5 suites booked under your name. You can keep all 5 or you can cancel 1, 2, 3 or even 4 of them if you want. And the people in those rooms would have to find somewhere else to stay or leave the hotel. An idea started to form in my mind, clear as day. Mr. Anderson, what time is checkout? Normally at 12 noon, but we can be flexible depending. And if someone needs to leave before then, is that possible? Yes. Are you thinking of making changes to the reservation? I was quiet for a second, looking out the window at the gardens where the groundskeepers were already working. It was early, but the day looked like it would be beautiful, sunny, perfect for the beach. The kind of day my family had planned to spend entirely at my expense. Mr. Anderson, I do want to make some changes, but I need them done exactly the way I'm about to explain. Of course, I'm all ears. I want to cancel 4 of the 5 suites. Mr. Anderson raised his eyebrows slightly but kept his professional face on. Which ones specifically? I grabbed my notebook where I had written down the room numbers. Suites 301, 302, 304, and 305. I want to keep only 303, which is mine. Understood. And when do you want these cancellations to take effect? Today, but not right away. First, I want you to block access to those rooms at 10 a.m. Their key cards will stop working. Then at 11 a.m. I want hotel staff to go to those suites and let the guests know they have to leave by noon because of changes to the reservation. Mr. Anderson took notes as I talked, not judging, totally professional. Are there any specific instructions I should give to the staff? Yes, they should explain that the reservation holder, which is me, decided to change things. That it's not the hotel's fault, but a personal decision by the person who paid for the reservation. And if they ask where they can find me to talk about it, you can tell them I'm in Suite 303, but only if they come to talk respectfully. If there's yelling, threats, or disrespect towards the hotel staff, you have instructions to call security. Mr. Anderson finished writing and looked at me, a mix of admiration and curiosity in his eyes. Mrs. Brown, can I ask what made you decide to do this? Mr. Anderson, do you have a family? Yes, a wife and 2 young children. Do you love them? Of course. Would you do anything for them? Without a doubt. And what if they betrayed you? What if you found out they were using you? That they were ashamed of you? That they were planning to scam you? Mr. Anderson was quiet for a moment. I think I understand. For 40 years I raised my kids. I fed them, clothed them, took care of them when they were sick. I worked to give them a good education. I gave up my dreams for theirs. And now when I thought we could finally enjoy some time together as a family, I find out that they just see me as a useful ATM. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Brown. Don't apologize, Mr. Anderson. This isn't sadness. This is freedom. I signed all the papers, including the sworn statement Mr. Carter had put together. Mr. Anderson called a notary from the hotel, who was there in 10 minutes to make everything official. One last thing, I said to Mr. Anderson when we were done. Could you have a cab ready for 12:30? How many people? Just two, my granddaughter Aaliyah and me. Are you going to the airport? No, we're going to another hotel, one where we can actually enjoy a vacation. Mr. Anderson smiled for the first time during our meeting. I would be happy to help you with that too. When I got back to my room it was 8:30. My family was probably awake by now, planning another perfect day without me. But this time things were going to be different. I sat on the balcony with a cup of coffee I had ordered from room service and waited. At 9 o'clock, I would get the first message from Aaliyah with the conversations from the secret group chat. At 10 o'clock their key cards would stop working. At 11 o'clock the hotel staff would knock on their doors, and for the first time in my life, I would be completely in charge. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Darius. Mom, we're heading to breakfast. You coming? I replied, no thanks. I have other plans today. What plans? You'll see, son. You'll see. I looked at my watch. It was 9:55. In 5 minutes the countdown would begin. The moment my family would realize they had seriously underestimated the woman who gave them life. And honestly, I couldn't wait to see their faces. At exactly 10 o'clock my phone buzzed with the first message from Aaliyah. It was a screenshot of the secret group chat sent just a few minutes before. Perfect plan for today. Beach all morning, spa in the afternoon. The old lady will probably just stay in her room like yesterday. Great. After lunch, we'll talk to reception to get control of the other rooms. Did you confirm with the bank, Malik? Yes. The dispute process should be all set this afternoon. By tomorrow we won't have to worry about the expenses anymore. Each message just confirmed that I was doing the right thing. There was no doubt, no guilt, no room for turning back. They had chosen this. At 10:30, another message from Aaliyah. Grandma, they're all at the pool. Dad just said that after lunch he's going to reception to sort out the rooms. I also heard Aunt Tamika say that today is the last day they have to pretend everything is fine. The last day they had to put on a show like being around me was some unbearable act that was finally ending. I poured myself another cup of coffee and sat in the armchair on the balcony. From there I could see the pool where my family was having a blast. Darius and Malik were in the water with some of the grandkids. Tamika and Latoya were drinking cocktails under an umbrella. Laughing, relaxed, happy, enjoying the vacation I was paying for while they were plotting to screw me over. At 10:55 my phone rang. It was Mr. Anderson. Mrs. Brown, the system is ready. In 2 minutes the key cards for suites 301, 302, 304, and 305 will be deactivated. Perfect. Mr. Anderson, is your staff ready for what's coming? Absolutely. Security is on standby, and we've already talked to the housekeepers about how to handle things with diplomacy but firmness. Excellent. I'll see you in 1 hour. I looked at my watch. Right then my family's key cards turned into useless pieces of plastic. They wouldn't be able to get into their rooms, get their stuff, change their clothes, or even shower after being in the pool. I waited. It didn't take long. At 10:07, I saw Latoya get up from her chair by the pool and head toward the elevators. She was probably going to get something from her room. At 10:11 my phone buzzed with an urgent message from Aaliyah. Grandma, Mom is yelling at reception. She says her key card isn't working. 3 minutes later another message. Now they're all there. Dad is really mad. The receptionist is trying to explain something, but I can't hear from here. At 10:20 Darius called me. His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the panic underneath. Mom, there's a problem with the rooms. The key cards aren't working. Could you come down to reception to help us figure it out? What kind of problem? We don't know. The receptionist says there's a change to the reservation, but that's impossible because no one has changed anything. How strange, I said, trying to sound as innocent as possible. Are you sure you haven't changed anything? Of course not, Mom. Could you come? We need to sort this out quick because the kids want to go back to the rooms. I'm a little busy right now, son, but don't worry. I'm sure it'll get sorted out soon. Busy with what? Important things. I hung up before he could say anything else. At 10:45, Aaliyah sent me another message. Grandma, the hotel manager is talking to Dad and Uncle Darius. They look really worried. Aunt Tamika is arguing with the receptionist. At 10:58, my phone rang again. This time it was Malik. Mom, we need you to come to reception now. There's a serious misunderstanding, and only you can fix it. What kind of misunderstanding? The hotel says you canceled our rooms. That's ridiculous, right? Tell them it's a mistake. Why would that be ridiculous, Malik? What do you mean, why? Because there's no reason for you to cancel our rooms. Is there? There was a long silence on the other end. Mom, what's going on? I'm sure Mr. Anderson explained it to you perfectly well. Mr. Anderson, you know the manager? Of course. We had a very productive meeting this morning. Another silence. When Malik spoke again, his voice had changed completely. Mom, you canceled our rooms. Yes. Why? Because I can. And I hung up. At exactly 11 o'clock from my balcony, I saw the hotel staff walking toward the pool area. There were 3 of them. Mr. Anderson, a woman who seemed to be from guest services, and a security guard in plain clothes. I saw them go up to my family. How Mr. Anderson was talking to Darius, pointing toward the hotel. I saw the looks of shock, confusion, and then anger on my children's and daughters-in-law's faces. I saw how the grandkids, not understanding what was happening, were going up to their parents, looking for answers. At 11:05, someone started banging on my door hard. It wasn't the polite knock of someone visiting. It was a hard, urgent, desperate banging. I opened the door, and there they were, all 4 of them, Darius, Malik, Tamika, and Latoya. Their faces were a mess of emotions. Fury, confusion, panic, disbelief. Behind them in the hallway, I could see some of my grandkids waiting with their beach bags. Can you tell me what the hell is going on? Tamika yelled before I could even say a word. Good morning to you too, I replied calmly, stepping aside so they could come in. Don't give me that attitude, Loretta, Tamika continued. The hotel says you canceled our rooms. That's insane. Why is it insane? Because we're your family. That's what I thought. Darius stepped forward, trying to use his most soothing voice. Mom, there's clearly a misunderstanding. Let's go down to reception and clear this all up. There is no misunderstanding, Darius. I canceled your rooms because you are no longer welcome on my trip. Your trip? Latoya looked genuinely confused. I thought it was a family trip. I thought so too, until I found out that you don't consider me family. Malik frowned. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and showed them the screenshots of the secret group chat that Aaliyah had sent me. I watched their faces drop as they read their own messages. This Darius tried to find the right words. This isn't what it looks like. It isn't. Then explain to me what free vacation with no family drama means, Darius. The silence in the room was deafening. The 4 of them looked at each other, scrambling for an explanation, an excuse, a way out of the hole they had dug for themselves. Mom, Malik finally spoke. I understand you're upset, but you can't leave us without rooms. We have small children. The same children you were going to keep away from me by hiring a nanny. That was. And what about the bank, Malik? Have you already started the dispute of the charges? Malik's face went white. How? How do you know? I know everything. I know about the group chat. I know about your plans to take control of the reservation from me. I know about the fraudulent dispute you were planning to make with the bank. I know everything. Tamika slumped into the armchair, covering her face with her hands. Latoya looked like she was going to throw up. Darius and Malik stood in the middle of the room like kids caught stealing candy. So I said, trying to keep my voice even, here are your options. You can grab your stuff, which the hotel staff has already so kindly packed. You can call a cab, and you can go find another hotel where you can pay for your own vacation. Or what? Darius asked, his voice shaking. Oh, nothing. That's your only option. You can't do this, Tamika yelled, jumping up from the armchair. We're your family. You can't abandon us. I looked straight into the eyes of the woman who for years had put up with my advice with fake smiles, who had talked behind my back, who had turned my son against me. Tamika, I said calmly. Who abandoned whom first? And in that moment, I saw in her eyes that she knew exactly what I was talking about. The war was over before they even knew it had begun. The silence after my question was crushing. I could hear the AC running, the faint voices of other guests in the hallway, the soft sound of the waves reaching the beach. But in my room the silence was so thick it felt like it had its own weight. Darius was the first to try to get his act together. "Mom, this is insane. You can't be serious. Do I look like I'm kidding? But the kids, what are the grandkids going to think?" For the first time since this whole thing started, I felt a pang in my chest. My grandkids, the only innocent ones in this whole mess. The grandkids are going to think that their parents made some really bad choices, and now they have to deal with the consequences. "You're destroying this family," Latoya cried, tears running down her face. "No, Latoya. This family destroyed itself when you decided that I was something to get rid of instead of someone valuable." Malik came toward me, holding his hands out like he was begging. "Mom, please. I know we messed up, but we can fix it. We can talk now." "You want to talk after spending months planning this whole scheme?" "It wasn't months," Darius mumbled. "No, the group chat was created the day you invited me on this trip, Darius." "The same day." I watched him fall apart inside. There was no way to deny it anymore. "Okay," Tamika said, standing up, no longer even trying to hide her anger. "You want to be the martyr? You want your big dramatic moment? Fine, but don't think we're going to come crawling back when you're feeling lonely again." Her words were meant to hurt me, to make me second-guess myself, to bring out that part of me that had always been afraid of being alone. "Tamika," I said, walking to the door and opening it. "I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who hate me." "We don't hate you," Malik exclaimed. "No. Then explain to me what getting rid of the burden and the last day we have to pretend everything is fine means." Malik opened his mouth to say something, but no sound came out. Right then, Aaliyah appeared in the doorway. She had been waiting in the hallway with the other grandkids, but she looked upset. "What's going on?" she asked quietly. The kids don't understand why we have to leave." My heart broke a little bit more right then. This girl, my own granddaughter, the one who showed me all the messages, who was my ally in all of this, now she was going to have to leave too. "Aaliyah," I said, trying to keep my voice gentle. "Come over here for a second." She came closer to me, and I took both of her hands in mine. "Sweetheart, your parents and we have some really serious disagreements. They are going to have to leave the hotel because of it." "But Grandma, why?" she asked, her eyes wide with confusion. I looked over at Malik, her father, and wondered if he was finally going to step up and have the guts to tell his own daughter the truth. "Why?" Malik repeated, his voice cracking with emotion. "Dad made some very big mistakes, honey." Aaliyah looked from her father back to me, her expression thoughtful. And in her eyes I could see a kind of understanding that was way beyond her 17 years. "Does it have something to do with that group chat?" The room went completely silent. Everyone froze like we were playing some messed up game of statues. Latoya whipped around to face her daughter, a panicked look on her face. "What exactly do you know about that?" "I know everything, Mom," Aaliyah said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "I know what you've all been saying about Grandma behind her back. I know you never actually wanted her to come on this trip. I know you were only using her so she would end up paying for everything." The silence that followed that statement was different from before. It wasn't tight with denial anymore. It was heavy with the shame of being found out. "Aaliyah," Latoya started, trying to backtrack and explain, but her voice trailed off. "Things aren't as simple as—" "Yes, they are," Aaliyah interrupted, pulling her hands away from mine and turning to face her parents directly. "So, it's not true that you created a whole group chat without Grandma in it, just to make fun of her constantly? It's not true that you were all planning to dispute the bank charges afterward so you wouldn't have to pay for a single thing? It's not true that you hired a nanny specifically so you wouldn't have to spend any time with her while we were here?" Each question she asked was like another slap in the face, hitting them hard. I watched my own children and my daughters-in-law physically shrink under the weight of the words coming from a teenager who had seen right through all of their lies and schemes. "You hurt the only person who has always been there for us, no matter what," Aaliyah continued, her voice firm, even though I could see tears welling up in her eyes. Grandma even sold her wedding ring to pay for this whole trip for everyone. She paused, letting that sink in. Did you even know that she sold Grandpa's ring? Darius slumped down into a nearby chair, as if his legs just couldn't hold him up anymore. You sold your ring? Malik asked, looking absolutely sick. We didn't know anything about that. Darius added. Because you never bothered to ask. You all just assumed that I had an endless supply of money to throw at all of your whims and desires. Tamika, who had been unusually quiet during Aaliyah's whole speech, finally spoke up. Fine, we'll just leave then, but this definitely isn't over. Is that supposed to be a threat? I asked, raising an eyebrow. It's a promise, Tamika shot back. You can't just treat your own family like this and expect that there won't be any consequences for your actions. Tamika, I said, walking towards her until we were standing face to face. I didn't treat my family badly at all. My family is the one that treated me badly. What's happening now are the consequences of your choices and actions, not mine. Darius finally managed to get himself up out of the chair. Mom, please, he pleaded. Can't we just fix all of this somehow? Can you? He trailed off, searching for the right words. Can I what, Darius? I challenged him. Erase all the nasty messages you wrote about me? Cancel the fraudulent dispute you started with the bank? Give me back the respect that you so casually took away from me? We can apologize, he offered weakly. Are you apologizing because you actually feel sorry for what you did? Or are you just sorry that you got caught? Darius couldn't even look me in the eye, let alone answer. Exactly, I said, nodding. Just then, Mr. Anderson gently knocked on the door, which was already open. Excuse the interruption, Mrs. Brown, he said politely. The taxi is here and ready for your family. He glanced towards my children, making it clear who he was talking about. Your belongings are all waiting for you down in the lobby. The hotel can certainly help you find alternative accommodations if you need any assistance with that. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, I replied, appreciating his tact. Taxi? Latoya asked, her voice laced with disbelief. Are you leaving too? Yes, I am, I confirmed. Aaliyah and I are going to another hotel, one where we can actually relax and enjoy the vacation that I deserve. Aaliyah is actually going with you? Malik asked, looking genuinely shocked. I turned to look at my granddaughter, who nodded her head firmly. Aaliyah is the only person in this entire family who has treated me with any respect and honesty throughout all of this. She's the only one who deserves to share this vacation with me. You can't just take our daughter away from us, Latoya yelled, her voice rising in anger. I'm not taking her, I said calmly. She's choosing to come with me. Aaliyah, honey, it's your decision. Malik then spoke directly to his daughter. You can't do this to us, Aaliyah. We're your family. Aaliyah looked at her father, her expression a mixture of love and deep disappointment. Grandma is also our family, Dad, and you all betrayed her in the worst way. I just can't be a part of that. It's only for a few days, I added, trying to soften the blow. After that, she can decide if she wants to go back with you or not. It's completely her choice. This is basically kidnapping, Tamika muttered under her breath. No, I said firmly, my voice leaving no room for argument. This is called justice. Darius came up to me one last time, his face etched with desperation. Mom, if we leave things like this, things will never be the same between us again. Darius, I said softly, placing my hand on his shoulder. For just a moment I saw the little boy he used to be, before he became the man who had made the conscious choice to betray me. Things were already never the same the moment you decided to do what you did. You all made sure of that. I picked up my suitcase, which I had already packed that morning after my meeting with Mr. Anderson. Aaliyah had her suitcase ready as well. Where are you even going? Malik asked in a defeated voice. To a place where I can simply be a grandmother without having to constantly apologize for my very existence. We walked towards the door, leaving them standing there. In the hallway, the other grandkids were waiting, looking confused and sad. They didn't fully understand everything that was happening, but they definitely knew that something important had been broken. I knelt down in front of them, trying to reassure them. "I love you all so much," I said, my voice full of emotion. "And this isn't your fault, not even a little bit. Someday when you're all older, you'll understand exactly why Grandma had to do this, I promise." Thomas, the little 8-year-old, wrapped his arms around me in a tight hug. "So, we're not going to build any more sandcastles together?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Someday we'll build the most beautiful sandcastles in the whole wide world," I promised him, squeezing him tight. "When your parents finally remember how to treat the people they actually love with the respect they deserve." Aaliyah and I walked towards the elevator, hand in hand. As the doors closed, I could still see my family standing in the hallway, watching us. My sons looked completely defeated, my daughters-in-law were furious, and my grandkids were just confused and heartbroken. Down in the lobby, Mr. Anderson was waiting for us next to our taxi. "Mrs. Williams," he said with a warm smile as the driver loaded our suitcases into the trunk. "It has truly been an honor to meet you. What you did today took an incredible amount of courage." "It wasn't really courage, Mr. Anderson," I said, shaking my head slightly. "It was simply survival." As the taxi pulled away from the hotel, I looked out the back window. I could see my family standing at the entrance with all of their suitcases, probably frantically calling other hotels, trying to find another place to stay on short notice. "Do you regret it, Grandma?" Aaliyah asked me, breaking the silence. I thought about her question as we watched the landscape whiz by. I thought about the last 40 years of motherhood, about all the sacrifices I had made that had never been acknowledged, about all the love I had given freely without expecting anything in return, but that in the end I had at least expected some basic human respect. "No," I finally replied, shaking my head again. "I only regret that it took me so long to finally value myself and realize what I deserved." The taxi was heading towards a small boutique hotel right on the coast where I had made a reservation that morning. A place where a grandmother and her granddaughter could build sandcastles together, enjoy quiet dinners without any drama, and remember what it truly meant to be a real family. For the first time in years, I felt truly free. And for the first time in my entire life, I had finally put my own needs first. It was terrifying and liberating all at the same time, but mostly it just felt right. Did you like my story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.